Hello and welcome to the Nerd Herd, where today I'm starting a new series on a not-so-new game, StoneHearth. It's going to be a beginner's guide slash tips and tricks slash just casual playthrough. To begin, I'm going to start by suggesting some settings. In the graphics department, I would always recommend turning on vertical sync. I'll explain this probably in another video, but for now, just trust me, you probably want it on. I would set some sort of max citizens below 30, since most systems can't do below 40. But for now, I'm just going to set that to 20. Music's pretty loud in this game. And I would also recommend turning on these two for beginner. Okay, start by clicking single player. I would recommend the ascendancy for new players, temperate, and normal. Also, each kingdom has a different preferred biome, and keep this in mind when you're selecting, because if you were to, for example, take Rhea's children and put them in temperate, they will constantly be unhappy for being in the wrong biome. So keep that in mind when you're selecting. But for now, sticking with the ascendancy. Okay, so this will be your starting roster. They'll have 3 main stats: mind, body, and spirit. Mind, what is most important about that is it influences how quickly your Hearthlings get better at jobs that they're assigned to. Body is how fast they can move, how much they can carry, and how much health they have. Spirit affects how quickly they run away from a fight if they're damaged heavily, and how well they have a higher chance of making higher quality items in game. And you can shuffle these characters to give different stats. They also have little kind of perks and stuff, so you can read through them all. They don't have an extreme effect, but they're good to know for certain ones. Okay, and you can also affect their appearance and sex. That's just a short definition, I guess, of each of them. Okay, for beginners, I would recommend Merchant Caravan. The starting items that you get at the beginning of the game will change depending on which kingdom you decide to choose. So we're going with Merchant Caravan. I would start in spring, just because it gives you the most time before winter, which can make your Hearthlings a little bit less happy. And for this game, we are going to select this area right here. Keep in mind that this entire white area that is highlighted a little bit brighter is the entire space that you'll be able to play in. And click settle here. Give it a second to load, and it will let you place down your banner. So little pre-spawned statues and such will spawn around the map. Most of them are not important, but you can harvest some of them for small amounts of resources. For this game, we are going to settle right here and pause real quickly. So they all start as workers, and you need to give them jobs. Okay, this is how you mine. You can turn on slice, and what that does is above a certain level, it'll just remove from your vision everything. Start by making a small corridor, and this is one thing that I would recommend for beginners, is to make an underground base, just because there are eventually enemies in the game, and now they can only attack you from one direction. I would recommend a 20 by 20 area for these, and 4 rooms to start with. I'll tell you in a second what I recommend using each room for, but of course you bought the game with your own money, so you can decide that. Press play, and they will start mining this out. Also, click this harvest button, or gather, sorry, and select some trees. They will begin cutting these down to get wood. Also, there are different levels on the map, as you can have probably already saw, and you can place stone ladders, which are just cheap. They're either 1 wood or 1 stone to place down, which all this is wood, so not that expensive, and all this is already stone. Place it down, and now they can reach the lower levels. This will be useful very shortly, as resources like these berry bushes are only available on some of the lower levels. You also do need, yes, here we go, bright bells. Okay, one sec. Bright bells, which are herbs that can later be used by the herbalist to make healing potions, and the weaver to make threads and stuff like that, but we won't be getting into this until another second. Okay, so this right here, every once in a while mainland will try to contact you, and this is how they do it until eventually they do send a person. But for now, click this. I'm not going to be reading through this. If you want, you can just pause, give you some time to do that. Okay, so here, this is very important. This is your banner selection. Different banners do different things. We have 3 right now. If you do decide to make an underground base like I'm doing right here, you're going to want to go with Banner of Strength, because Banner of Strength, A, gives you 50% more ores and such for mining, and also makes it where they don't care if they're in cramped spaces anymore. Which I'll tell you what happiness has to do with anything in a second. For now, let's just call this Nerd Town. Yes. And issue declaration. And it'll show you all that you chose. As you'll see in a second, this will change into the Banner of Strength. Magical. Then we'll start celebrating and then go back to work. Eventually. While they're celebrating, I'll show you what happiness does. So, there are 5 different levels of how happy they are, I guess. There's, that's not merry, forlorn, glum, content, merry, and jubilant. Each one of these affects their movement speed, which in this game, and really any RTS, is very important. So, they move at average speed in content, move 5% faster in merry, 10% faster in jubilant, and vice versa for glum and forlorn. Also, speed is affected by body, and that also affects how fast your Hearthlings go. Now I'm going to be collecting some different herbs and such for future use mostly, but also you can pick them up and move them so that they're a little bit closer, and they'll also grow. Right here. So you got a little kind of farm area there, I guess. And they cannot access this point unless I put a ladder here. Also, forgot to say, the sugar bell is used for, well, it says right here, sugar, which is useful for cooking later in the game. Find a little bit more wild silkweed, put it over here. As you can see, that has taken them away from mining, which isn't exactly ideal, but this is a good thing to get done early in the game. quickly, I am just going to let this fast forward. As they slowly get this done. Also, collecting the berries from these berry bushes, somewhat obviously, gives your hearthlings a little bit of food, which you get some to start, but it's never a bad thing to just have extra. And also moving this allows us to have some at-home production, I guess. Now we have a little, frustratingly, not symmetrical garden. There we go. Fast forward this again. Okay, and once they get some of the stuff moved, I am going to start turning some of these people into workers. Okay, pause this real quick. Okay, so first thing I'm going to be doing is making someone a warrior, because if you see here, they lose happiness because of lack of safety, and that's just if there's no one assigned to the footman or some sort of warrior position. So for this, you most likely want somebody with high body, but not necessarily high spirit or intelligence. But as you can see, these are both of our people with high body have high spirit and high intelligence. So sometimes they'll have good stats for good bonus perks for being a warrior, but in this case, neither of them are really better. So, this guy, after he's done there, will skip on back to here, pick up the sword, and then he will be a warrior. He remains a worker until he gets the chance to pick up the sword, though, which is nice in case you just forget to put it in an accessible spot. And catch that, and now a footman. For now, you can leave them unassigned, but later you can do things like assign them to a guard point. I do not recommend this long term because they will ignore their own needs and such to be at that guard point. So you can just click this little X to keep them from doing that. Now, as you can see, okay, they're starting to have some other complaints, but there's no longer a lack of safety complaint. Okay. So, they will slowly keep on mining this area out, and then we will be able to continue our work. I'm actually going to suspend some of these jobs so that they get this job done first. And I just accidentally did the wrong one. So yeah, complete this. And apparently this is grouped with the same. These are grouped the same. That's kind of annoying, but you know, what can you do? So they'll start mining this out, and what I usually do for this first room is I'll make this the storage slash kind of work zone, and this is where our first carpenter will go. Right here, carpenter saw. Yes. Daily update. Every once in a while, or every day, every day this will come up, where if you have enough food and net worth, which is caused by having estimated value of your town, collect items, accumulate gold, and build buildings to increase your net worth. So if you meet both of these requirements, you can actually accept another hearthling to your town to help you work and such. But towards the beginning of the game, you almost never get that, so don't let it discourage you if you don't get it on the first day. Okay, so we now have enough space to where we can have a little storage area. So you can designate stockpiles in this game where just all your items can go, and I'll pause real quick, but you can kind of designate what can go in each area or just let everything accumulate there. But I'm not big on stockpiles because you can see this -2 star deal. That's the appeal of this item being on the ground. So you click appeal vision, it'll show you that all these have ugly aesthetics, and they will still have ugly aesthetics in a stockpile. So that's why I recommend, as fast as possible, getting someone to be a carpenter. This guy is pretty good for it, because he has high spirit, so he'll make higher quality items more commonly. He has high mind, so he'll learn his job quicker, and he has decent body. It's good to have somebody on your general crafters and such, so we'll designate him as the carpenter. And he'll come over here and get the saw. He's a level 1 carpenter now. Pause the game real quick. Each crafter will craft their own workbench, so we'll have him craft the carpenter workbench real quick. He'll grab a piece of wood and start crafting that just right on the ground. Once that is complete, take that and we will place it right in here, kind of catty-cornered. Take that, and it is worth mentioning, certain crafters can still do certain jobs. Like the carpenter can no longer mine, but he can still haul items and such, which I can show here. Yeah. He can still build and he can still haul, but he can no longer mine. So they're all sleeping for now, which is fine. As quickly as possible, we need to get him to level 2 so that he can make the mason's hammer and chisel. The mason, as far as early game goes, the mason is by far my favorite crafter, and I will show that to you probably next episode. If you still feel like this is worth watching. And while they're all sleeping, I suppose now is a great time to end the episode. Thank you for joining in. If you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, and if you hated it, which I probably wouldn't blame you, because this was not the best video, but if you hated it, dislike button's down there, and you probably haven't subscribed yet, so you can unsubscribe. Thank you for joining me, and goodbye.